Let's take a look at Read and Write for Google Chrome. I realize the extension Read and Write has been around for a while, but in 2023, they made some really nice enhancements. Read and Write for Chrome now works in more places and more environments than ever before. They have a really nicely improved toolbar that provides accessibility for our students. It works seamlessly with Google Docs, Google Slides, and your Google Drive. I think as we take this tour that you're going to find that there's something for every student in the Read and Write Google Chrome extension. I'm going to push pause and we're going to take a look at some of the features. All right, now let's take a look at the Read and Write extension in action. I have uploaded a history channel website. It's This Day in History, and it's a story about Nelson Mandela. Our students may find this passage maybe a little bit too difficult and it might be too long, so we want them to interact with this text, and we can do that with the Read and Write extension. If you go up to your extension toolbar up at the top, it may not be visible yet, but we have put it on the extensions for you. All you have to do is click your extensions manager, scroll down to Read and Write for Google, and pin that extension so it's now visible in your extension toolbar. Once you click that, the RW with the purple puzzle piece, it will pop up a very robust menu of different tools that you can use or your students can use to make this content accessible to them. As we go across the toolbar, let's start at the most simple thing that you can do with Read Write. It's embedded right in the title, Read and Write. So we want to read. It's pretty intuitive that the play button is going to begin the reading portion. So let's go ahead and highlight the text we want it to begin and click that play button. You have pause feature here, so you can stop and pause, or perhaps if you want to replay it, you can do that. And you can also, you want to stop that and clear it to begin again. So that one's pretty intuitive. It's your play button. Once you have your text highlighted where you want it to begin, pause button and clear button. Now let's go back and take a look at some of the tools that I passed by when I got to the reading part. Let's say a student is reading this particular passage and they get stuck on a word. You can highlight that word. The student can highlight that word. Let's say reconciliation. The book icon will give us a vocabulary definition. You can click the play button and it will read to the student. But what I really like is this. Right next to it is the picture dictionary. So again, I have the word reconciliation highlighted. If I click the picture dictionary, it's going to give me a picture to help make meaning for the students. The Read and Write extension also has some adaptive technologies built into their tools. As we scroll across the toolbar, you'll find something called screen masking. It looks like a computer screen with a line running across it. If you click that, it's going to give you this bright band and it allows students to focus just on a particular section of the text. That way, they're not becoming overwhelmed with there's so much text or they're not losing their place. I think this really helps them to focus on just a small portion of text at a time. Okay, let's take a look at Read and Write highlighter tools. I feel like this is really where Read and Write earns its stripes. Get it? Highlighter, stripes. All right, let's have a look. What if you asked your students to highlight the evidence that they need to use to answer an essential question? We asked them to highlight that in maybe a green text. So I'm just going to highlight some text here and make it green. And then I do a little bit more reading. I found out something else is going to support my answer to the essential question later. And perhaps you tell your students that anytime there's a direct quote, go ahead and make that yellow. So as you can see, we're starting to interact with the text. That keeps students engaged with what they're reading. But then we want to take this information and use it. And this is where you see the power of Read and Write, because it is all integrated with the Google ecosystem. So if I click the recycle button here where it says collect highlights, and I'm going to select the highlighter colors that I just used, yellow and green, and it's going to collect those highlights into a Google Doc. And here we go. So it's waiting for that document to create itself, and there you go. So now this is in their drive. It has the green highlighted, the yellow highlighted, and they can continue to collect this as they go. Pretty powerful stuff. If you like that last tool, you're going to love this one. Let's say as a teacher that you are working on vocabulary and you want the students to generate a vocabulary list. They can interact with the test. Again, they're going to use the highlighter tool. And let's say you wanted your students to highlight every word that they found to be that they're unfamiliar with. We use a blue highlighter this time. Let's say the word integrity they're unsure about. The word reconciliation they might be unsure about. How about apartheid they would be unsure about. How about one more? Organization, maybe? And how about embark? That's a good word. Okay, now, after they've interacted with the text and highlighted the words that they're unfamiliar with, they can scroll over to what looks like a bulleted list icon. That's how it generates a vocabulary list. Watch this magic. Again, we're going to select the colors that we want to collect. So this was blue. I'm going to click OK. And it's generating a vocabulary list that will be in a Google Doc, which resides on your Google Drive. Check it out. It's got the word, it's got the definition, it has a symbol for some of them, and a place for students to take notes. This is a great way for students to start to create and own their own vocabulary lists. Another powerful tool in the Read/Write Google extension is the ability for students to practice their fluency. It's the tool called the Read Aloud Practice tool. On my screen, I have pulled up the story, The Hare and the Tortoise, from the Library of Congress. I'm going to instruct students to click the Read Aloud Practice tool. It's in the top right, far right in the toolbar. It will launch the website now with a little toolbar to the right. When the student is ready to start recording, they will click the Start Recording button. A hare was making fun of the tortoise one day for being so slow. Do you ever get anywhere? He asked with a mocking laugh. Yes, replied the tortoise, and I get there sooner than you think. I'll run you a race and prove it. When they're done recording, they'll click the stop button. And then they have the option to send that document to their teacher. With a simple click, the audio is being saved. The students will type in the teacher's email address, maybe leave a note, and send away. There's also a copy link option. So you could use that link and students could post it on Google Classroom, maybe post it on a digital portfolio. This is a very powerful tool to help our students with their reading fluency.